Welcome to Thriving Tribesmen. My name is Kuri, your host, and I'm excited to be making this episode. So, what do you do in between sexual encounters? So, for example, if you had a sexual encounter this weekend, what do you do in between the week in order for you to have a really good sexual encounter next weekend? So we're going to talk a little bit about that, and a lot of it is going to be centered around attraction into seduction. When it comes to attraction into seduction, there is some rules around it and some key things to understand in order to get things to a point where you have better frequency. Now, most people don't understand this. They take this sort of hope strategy type thing where I hope things happen. So you just hope, you get to Friday and you just sort of hope things happen, and you hope you've done all the right jobs. You hope everything, she slept enough. You hope that she's going to respond to you when you try and do something. And again, that's not the right way of doing it. Within a relationship, you have to be intentional on how you approach the sexual side of things. And again, when you approach it from an intentional side of things, she will respond to the intention that you're trying to set. Again, this is very important because when it comes to initiating, you carry 90% of the burden of initiating. Some of you guys try and palm off that burden onto her. And again, this is one of the reasons why the sexual discomfort increases, because you've got this expectation. Again, a lot of it is more to do with you, that you've been rejected so many times that you feel like by giving her the burden, then that way it will easier the sexual sexlessness of the relationship. But what it tends to do, it increases the sexlessness of the relationship, because if she takes the burden of it, then again it takes away from you as being the leader. So especially when it comes to the seduction side of things, this is where you need a very strong leadership frame, because a lot of it is around compliance. She wants to be compliant to your seduction, but she won't if you palm off the leadership side of things to her. So we're going to go a little bit deeper into that, because that's a very important part. But when it comes to the sexual interactions, I think of it more as a tide. So, she's not always going to feel sexy. She's not going to always feel like she wants to have sex. So there's going to be times when the tide is out, which is, okay, we're close. We're ready to have sex. And when the tide is in, yes, I'm ready to have sex. Let's have sex. Let's be playful around this. And there's a way we've talked about this as well, that she's either really cold, I'm not interested in sex, don't even touch me, don't even talk about it. And then there's warm, I am open to the idea, I'm not quite there physically. And then hot, which is I'm open about the idea and I'm there physically. So again, within the interaction that you have, this way doing the attraction side of things becomes very important, because it moves her along within this frame, or this example where you move it from cold to warm, and then within that you move it to hot, and then within that's when you transition into seduction, where you then move things along into sex. So sex or sexual encounter. So again, it becomes very important to understand how to move this along, and when you understand these key things, it changes how you interact, and more importantly, it will change your frequency of how you have sex. Because then again, there's a few important parts about it. Like, for example, so when I was saying about the tide, for example, if the tide is out, she's not interested, and then when the tide is in, she's ready for interaction. I remember when we went on a holiday, we got to the place where we got to, and we found this beach that was amazing, that it had a little river that fed into a dam. So it was really deep to a certain extent. So again, it was about probably neck height for me, but so which was made it perfect for us to canoe and pedalboard and so on. And it was so safe to the point that my daughter got into a canoe and she just went, and I could pretty much allow her to do what she wanted. And because again, she's such a strong swimmer, with no worry about how for her safety or anything like that. So it was really cool. We had a really cool day. I was trying to do the paddle boarding. I was falling over. It was such an incredible day that we enjoyed. And the a few days later, we came back, and this water had gone, so it was completely dry, completely empty. And instead of us, getting upset, oh no, I can't believe our day is ruined because we'd planned our entire day around this thing here, we ended up seeing that there were some signs for pedalboarding lessons. So we ended up going and getting some pedalboarding lessons, and that was a good experience as well. And this was us going to learn more about how to enjoy this dam when it fills up again. And this is very, very important. So in between time when you guys have a sexual encounter and this time when she's not interested or not ready to have a sexual encounter, you have to be doing things that are exciting and builds anticipation. And this is where the attraction side of things becomes. So you have to have a strategy around that. And some of the things that I teach within these is allowing for yourselves to be really, really playful. And what that means is that you allow things like, and again, somebody asked me, what do you mean by being playful? So the being playful is allowing that you allow curiosity to enter within your conversations. And if it's curiosity, I mean, for example, it could be a physical thing. And I was speaking to a client, he gave me a rundown of how his weekend gone, and I messaged him and told him about curiosity and a particular situation where he said, he gave her a massage, and when he did give her a massage, they were in a public setting. So he gave her a massage, and while he was giving the massage, he found that she had a knot. And then she said, oh yeah, I'd been feeling tension. And he said, okay, yeah, later on, if you would like to, I would want to give you a massage in order to help you out and so on. And he was a bit playful around it. And again, there isn't a lot wrong with that interaction because it's a normal interaction. But in order to create some curiosity, I personally would have given a massage and find the knot and then just go, here, it's a bit tight. And when I see her physically responding that she's enjoying it, then I would let go. And then get it to the point where she says, oh, continue doing it. And I'll be like, whoa, and then be playful at that point. Because again, the one of the important parts about seduction and attraction is that she needs an emotional investment. And for me personally, most people will try and create a positive emotion in order for things to move along. Now, when you create a positive emotion, it's very, very predictable and becomes very boring. I personally like to create negative emotions. So, for example, in this case, if I massaged and then let go when she's about to enjoy, and then she tries to make me do it again, then I don't really respond. What tends to happen is that she will feel frustrated. And for me, that's a good emotional investment in order for me to push things along, because it opens a loop for her to want to have that physical contact. Very, very important. And again, the other side of things, if we were not physically being able to interact in that way where I can create an open loop of that, I can do that verbally. So again, sometimes we can be talking and then I will sexually disqualify myself. So a good example around this was recently my wife said, oh, if you do that, that will give me the egg. And then I just continued doing it. She goes, aren't you afraid that I'll have the egg? I said, I don't give a shit. Who told you sex was on the cards? That was sexual disqualification. So again, that shifted the thing where, again, I didn't place so much value on sex to the point where she thought there was something wrong with the sex. So all of a sudden, she now wanted to invest. Now, outside looking in, it looks like, oh God, you're being manipulative. But again, it's all part of a game. Within the sexual interactions, if you don't see it as a game, you are going to lose. This is how human beings are built. This is how we do things. For example, every time you go to the cinema, it doesn't matter what film you are watching, it's always going to follow the same storyline. And without spoiling it for you guys, it's the same storyline. Somebody's going somewhere. Along the way, they find a guide. Along the way, they meet a girl, and then they save the day. Pretty much the same thing. But we still watch films. That's how our brains, like okay, that's humans in general. With a woman, she might watch those Real Housewives. Same thing. Tension on, tension off. And the tension on is negative emotions, and then they make up, tension off, release. Again, negative emotion, excitement, successful shows, all keeping up with the Kardashians, all of them follow the same principle. This is what you're trying to introduce into your relationship. Because again, a lot of you guys don't want to initiate or at least get into the game of what's going on. And because you want this, we are married, so therefore it should be like this. It's a cop-out because you don't understand what you're meant to be doing. So again, hopefully within this episode, it gives you an idea that there is a different way of approaching it. And again, this is what's going to serve you especially. Now, like I said, I can go a little more detail when I know more about your relationship. If you want to get in touch and you want to know how I can help you within your relationship, go to thriving_tribesmen. And again, this is a free seduction blueprint that I'll give you. So you go to thriving_tribesmen and on Instagram, and I'll just type in community, and I know exactly how to get it. I'll get back to you and give you more details on around how we can give you a free seduction blueprint. So when it comes to seduction, a lot of it is centered around you having a strong leadership frame. A lot of it is, when it comes to seduction, is you showing some sexual intent, and that sexual intent should not be diluted and should be really, again, this, when it comes to attraction, if you think about you having a sexual encounter, the attraction side will take you 90% there, and the transition should be into seduction. It should be just the 10%. The last 10% to get her there to the point where she wants to have sex with you is within that seduction. Feels very small, but very, very important. That you, when you see physically escalate, which might look like this. So you slow things down, you look into her eyes, you don't say a word, and then you come in for a kiss. Again, if you slow it down enough, it will create some sexual tension, and that again shows a level of leadership. You not having to speak because there's empty space, or you trying to fill empty spaces, you allowing that silence to come and then actually increase the intensity of that interaction. Very, very important. Very important. And again, it shows sexual intent. And again, this is where most guys, they try and seduce without showing sexual intent. They feel like, again, because you've been rejected before, and again, rightly so you're trying to protect yourself to a certain extent, but really being explicit. When it's time to have sex, my wife knows. If she rejects, that's cool, but I'm very explicit on where we are going. And again, I'm coming from a leadership frame. Again, that's what will attract her even more in terms of from a sexual standpoint. So without really going further deeper into this, this is just the interaction that you would have in order to, in between the encounters. So you have sex this weekend. Between this weekend and next weekend, these are the things that I'll be working on, or at least focusing on. Okay, am I being curious enough? Am I being excited? And again, a lot of it is not even to be exciting for her. I'm not trying to do it in order for her to be excited. I'm just creating the environment, and it's up to her to join in. Again, if you think of it, the best way of thinking of it is that I'm on an excitement train. I'm on a party train. I'm on a train of where we're going to a place where it's exciting, it's eventful, it's really good. And she's standing on the platform, and I'm giving an invitation to come. It's up to her whether she wants to come or not. If she doesn't want to come onto the train and go with me, that's okay. And when you have that frame, what tends to happen is that she becomes more compliant, especially from even just the attraction side of things and the seduction side of things. It actually creates so much excitement around your relationship that the sex side of things becomes an exciting bit where she really wants to be part of consistently. So thank you very much, guys. I'll be seeing you guys soon. Take care.